All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. I'm expecting a few more people, so you might see me looking off to my second screen to admit people as they come in, but we'll go ahead and get started. Stop sharing the screen. Thanks for joining. I'm admitting some people now. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. We're just getting started. So if you haven't already, you can write your name in the chat and just write something that you're grateful for today, just so we can kind of get to know each other. I'm Margot. Thanks for joining me. I'm happy that you guys were able to join okay and you got your kits all right. We're expecting about 10 people. There's about, I think, 8 of us in here now. There's a few more people I'm expecting to come. So you might see me looking off and adding more people. So welcome. I'm glad to be here with you guys today. We're going to be making some collage art. I'm really excited about it. We're going to be making these 2 pieces here, and we can turn them into greeting cards or other pieces of artwork if you just want to hang around your house or give us gifts. So that's what we're going to be making today. A little bit about myself. I'm a maker and an artist, and I make jewelry and teach workshops around the Chicago area. I've been doing mostly virtual stuff, this year with the pandemic and everything. And I also make craft kits, and I sell those online as well. So it's a little about me. As far as collaging, I started collaging in early 2020. So I challenged myself at the start of the year to make 100 pieces of collage artwork in 100 days. So that's how I kind of immersed myself in collage, and I really enjoy it. And so I'm just here today to share some of what I've learned about it. And what I really like about collage is that there's no wrong way to do it. How I'm going to show you is just one way. And we have the templates to help us along, but you can always change it up and add your own flair. So what I'm showing you today is just a guide to help you get started if you haven't done collage before, or if you've done collage before, something to maybe you'll get some new ideas today. So let's see what else. Housekeeping things. If you just want to keep yourself on mute, just so we keep the background noise to a minimum. If you have any questions, though, just unmute yourself and ask. I have the chat open, but I might not always look over to see if you've written something, but I will try to remember to check it periodically. But just feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question. So I think that's all. Oh, I do have a dog, so you might hear him barking in the background. He's relaxing in his crate right now, so just FYI on that. I think that is all the housekeeping things. I'm looking at my notes. Yeah, so again, if you have any questions, just unmute yourself or type in the chat and I'll try to take a look at them. So let's get started. So if you don't have your kit, grab it. You'll need a pen or pencil, and then scissors, and maybe something to drink or something like that. I just invite you to settle in and just allow yourself to be present here with us, and we'll have about an hour or so, I think, to create, and then hopefully some people will want to share at the end, share what they've made, and any other things we want to talk about related to collage we can do as well. So I'm going to start with going through what's in the kit. So let's look at that. Hopefully you can hear me okay. If you can't, just let me know. Type in the chat or something. Okay, so you will have in your kit a glue stick. You'll have a template that we'll be working from. You'll have 2 note cards and 2 envelopes. This is what we're going to be pasting our work on. And you're going to have some painted papers This is paper I painted and just kind of cut up in squares. So it's going to vary between people what you have, but everyone should have similar colors to make the same looking artwork. You'll also have some like scrapbook paper as well. I did not paint this. This is just scrapbook paper that I cut up into squares. So, and I think that is all that you'll have in your kit. So, oh, you can't see my desk. Let's see, let me try spotlighting. Can you see my desk now? Can you see my hands?
Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay, thank you for reminding me. I made a note to do that and then I didn't do it. So, yeah, so this is everything that you're gonna need to get started. We're gonna start by cutting out the templates. One thing I thought about after I printed this that I should have done was mark, like just made a mark on the front so you could keep track after you cut it out what's the front and what's the back. So if you have your pen or pencil, just make a mark on the front, like on the inside of the of each of the shapes, just so you can kind of keep track of what the front and what the back is. Just any mark will do. I'm gonna get a sip of water real quick, sorry. Okay. So do that, make a mark so you can just keep track of what's the front and what's the back, and then we're gonna just cut these out. So I'm going to stop my video. Okay. So we're just gonna actually cut all these out. I'm gonna give us about 5 minutes to do this. I'm gonna play a little bit of music so it's not just dead air. But if you do have a question, just unmute yourself. I can still hear you. The other thing I want to mention was that this is, a guide. So, you don't have to be, too concerned about making sure that you cut it out exactly as I have the lines. If it's a little bigger or a little smaller, that's okay too. So just keep that in mind.
I didn't get any templates in your mail, so I'm just going to follow along with your shapes, and I guess.
Okay. Was there not one in your kit?
I don't have a kit.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you know why? I don't live in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
That's why. Hey, you were supposed to come to my house in San Francisco and deliver it.
Uh-oh. Yeah, you can use any materials that you have on hand. And actually my sister is on the line too. She's joining from St. Louis. So she doesn't have a kit either. So you're not alone. Hi, thanks for joining. We're just getting started. We're starting by cutting out the shapes, the templates. I have a little music playing. We're gonna take about 5 minutes just to cut out the shapes. Before you cut out your shapes, make a mark on the front, on the inside of each shape, just so you can keep track of what's the front and what's the back, because that will make a difference on the design of the woman, not the plant one, but the woman one. It will matter. So just mark them all so you don't have any confusion.
How do you know what's the front or the back?
So before you start cutting out your shapes, that was one thing I did realize I did not do, which I should have, was made a mark on the front, so you know after you cut them out what's the front. So just use your pen or pencil and just mark on the inside of each of the shapes. Just make a mark. It doesn't matter what it is. just so you can keep track of what's the front and what's the back. So wherever you make the mark is the front.
I know, but like they're the same on both sides. So I'm confused. Like it's like you have 1, 2, and 3. Is that on the top of yours? 1, 2, and what is that? 1, 2, and 3. What?
These are the leaves I just cut out. They were here on my template.
But what are the marks that you have on the leaves? I'm confused.
Oh, I just made those marks for my personal self. It doesn't matter what mark it is. I just made a mark so I could remember what the front and the back was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the shapes are they're not the same. So I was just confused at why we
Exactly. Yeah, they're all going to be different. The leaf shapes, they're different. They're 2 different shapes. One of the leaves is a little bit bigger than the other. So yeah, they're all different shapes. So just make any mark on, it could be a check mark or anything, just so you can remember as we're going into the next step, what's the front and what's the back of the template. Oh, one more thing I want to point out. This is like the woman's shoulder and her neck. Don't cut the dotted lines. I'm just using that as a guide. I'll explain that later. Don't cut that part. If you already did, it's okay. But don't cut that part. Just cut the solid line, not the dotted line for the woman. How we doing? Do we need any more time to cut out our shapes? You can type it in the chat or just mute yourself if you need more time.
Like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Same here. I'll be done in just a moment.
Okay.
Almost done.
All right.
Yeah, I have some juice.
Okay. I'm going to start just explaining what we're going to do next while you're finishing up your final cuts. So we're going to do the leaf design first, this guy. So you can maybe start to see, which shapes go with which after you've cut them out. So we're going to be working with this set of shapes on top here, the circle, this sort of a square, the leaf shapes, and this, kind of looks like a vase. And then these other shapes are for the woman. This is her head, this is her hat, this is her shoulder and neck, her dress, and her earring. So if you want to collect the woman pieces and kind of set them off to the side, we're going to be working on the leaf first. And for the leaf, the painted papers that we're going to use are green for the leaves. Everyone should have a couple of different, yours will look different than mine, but you'll have a couple of different colors for your leaves. You're going to have this yellow color that is kind of like the sun or background, however you want to think of it. You're going to have this scrapbook paper that looks kind of marbly. And you're going to have like a terracotta kind of color, kind of reddish, pinkish color. Some of you may have one that looks like mine and kind of has white spots on it. So those are the pieces that we're going to use for our first card. So I think we'll start with the leaves. Actually, I'm going to just demonstrate the sun since it's the biggest piece and probably easiest for me to demonstrate for you. So for the sun or background, I'm using this large circle. So all we're going to be doing is putting the template on top of the piece of paper. Find a good spot that you like. The nice thing about what I like about collaging with painted papers is the different textures. So you might find a spot that you like better. You might like this corner better or this corner better. So just find a spot that you like on the paper. And all you're going to do is trace around it with your pen or your pencil. You're going to trace around the shape. So there you have it. You can see my outline, and then we're just going to cut that out. So you can, if you want to do everything, trace everything first. That's a way to do it. So trace your sun, trace your leaves, trace your pots. this guy, the sizes of the papers kind of correspond with the template. So this, and I also have, you can use that as a reference here. The larger pot is a template and the smaller pot is the terracotta color. The leaves is totally up to you what color greens you want to pick for which leaf. I have the darker leaves in the background on mine if you want to switch that around. Totally up to you. So I can't wait to see what you guys decide to do there. But yeah, just I'm gonna just trace all my things first, and then I'm gonna go back and cut them out. And when you're cutting out, just cut on the inside of your mark so you don't see your pin mark. So that's what I'm gonna do now, is just trace everything and then cut it out. Any questions about that? And this is where it's helpful to where we made our marks on the front of the template, so you know what's the front and what's the back. Although these shapes are the same. There's a term for that when you, what is that? Symmetrical? Yeah. So it doesn't really matter, but it's just helpful to know what's the front and what's the back. Any questions on that before we get started? All right, so let's start tracing out our shapes and cutting them out. Oh, one thing I wanted to note, you can see that for this shape, you're going to need two. So you're going to trace two of this shape. And for the leaves, I traced two of the smaller leaves here. These are two small ones. And then this one on the left here is the large one. So again, you can change the variation of however you want. If you want all three of them to be the same size, it's totally up to you. But I just wanted to note that you would need to cut more pieces than there are template pieces. So cut two of these guys and three of these. So I have all my pieces traced. I just want to show you guys before I start cutting them out. All my pieces are traced out, and I'm just going to go in now with my scissors and cut them all out.
Will anybody else feel like they're watching Hey Arnold right now? Because that's this music that they vibe of.
That's a throwback.
Yeah, it's a good one too.
And as you're cutting out your pieces, sometimes you might have some left over to make something else. So hang on to, if you're, if you like collaging, hang on to your scrap pieces. Some pieces are kind of too small, like this is a little tiny, but some pieces, bigger pieces you can hang on to and just kind of freestyle ideas and see what you come up with. All right, so I have finished cutting out my shapes. How are you guys doing? Let me know if you need a couple more minutes before we move on.
Well, probably a couple of.
Okay.
Yeah, a few more minutes.
Okay. All right, no problem.
Give it up, gonna be alright. Alright, alright. What do you got? Alright, alright. Slow, slow. Give it up, gonna be alright. Alright, alright. What do you got? Alright, alright. Slow, slow. Give it up, gonna be alright. Give it up, gonna be alright. Give it up, gonna be alright. Alright, alright. What do you got? Alright, alright. Slow. Give it up, gonna be alright. Alright, alright. What do you got? Alright, alright. Slow, slow. Give it up, gonna be alright. Give it up, gonna be alright.
Allow me to introduce myself. Who knows what dastardly crime might perpetrate next? He's a very clever arch criminal who must be put away. Another innocent victim.
I don't know what you. I don't know what you. I don't know what you. I don't know what you.
All right, how are you doing on cutting out our shapes?
Good.
Okay.
I'm all done.
I'm fiddling with my overhead camera. The battery says it's low, but it says it's charging, so I just have to keep an eye on it. Hopefully I don't lose that camera. All right, so I'm going to show you guys the next step. So grab your blank note card. You might find it easier to work on it if you open it up and just work on the right side. And your glue stick. And the first thing we want to do is actually just kind of lay everything out. Just place everything and kind of get an idea of where we're going to glue things before we glue them down. So just kind of start to plot everything out. If you have your cell phone handy, if you're not using it for this call, you might want to take a picture. That's an idea. So as we start to, when we take it apart and start to glue it together, you have a reference. But the sun or the background kind of goes in the middle, and then everything else kind of lays on top of that. So just kind of lay it out and get an idea for where things are going to go. Let me check my camera. I think it's still charging. Okay. Okay. So everyone does have different glue sticks. Like yours is not going to be the same as mine. There are a couple of people who have Elmer's. I think it says like 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes that you can kind of move it around. I noticed that when I was working with that, you kind of have to continue to press it down. It does glue, but because it gives you that time where you can pick it up and remove it before it completely dries, you may not think that it's sticking, but just you have to continue to press it down. So just keep that in mind if you're using the one that is the 5 minute dry time. The other one I think is like a purple washable one. That one, I didn't have that issue with that, so just wanted to point that out. So any questions before we start gluing? Everybody in a good spot?
Is there a certain order that we need to glue in?
Yeah.
Putting the sun down first.
Yeah. So so just how, I have everything positioned here. If we're looking at it, we're going to glue the sun down first, and we'll go through this step by step. We'll glue the sun down first, and then if you look at this card, this marble piece goes down next. Then we're going to glue down the leaves, because this terracotta piece goes on top of the bottom of the leaves and the top of this marble pot. And then these leaves we can save till last. They just go on top of the sun.
Okay.
So let's start with the sun.
Music, please.
You guys like the music? Well, okay, I'm glad to hear that. So this paper, just make sure it's a little thicker than like a copy paper, so be liberal with the glue. Make sure you got it on the edges well. And just stick it down. And the nice thing about collage is there's no wrong way to collage. So this is merely a guide, and if yours looks a little bit different, it's okay. So I got my sun. So next, we're gonna do the marble pot. Okay. And you'll notice this marble paper, it's a little bit thinner. It's scrapbook paper, so it might not take as much, continual pressing down to get it to stick if you're using that 5 minute stick Elmer's glue. And because we are layering, you can really put on quite a bit of glue. And the nice thing about using a glue stick is that it'll still be thin, you know, it won't bubble up your paper. So there's that one. I think I said the leaves next, right? So I'm gonna have one of mine in the back, so I'll glue that one first. Whichever one you want to be in the back, glue it first. Or if you have two that you want in the back, glue those first. And then the ones that you want in the front, lay those right on top. Next is this little pot. And for the pot, definitely use plenty of glue because you're going to be going on top of the leaves and on top of the sun. So you want to make sure it sticks to all 2 layers. And lastly, I'm going to put on these leaves. So I'm going to do mine kind of off the edge. You can turn them this way if you want, however you want them to face. How you guys doing? You need a few more minutes? Ooh, I see something. That looks great. Carol, I see it. Nice. I like that you're working on a larger sheet too.
I have to cut it down to fit an envelope though.
Yeah.
But that's okay. There's a lot of room to cut it.
Oh, Xavier, that looks good. I like your choices, your color choices.
Thanks. It's a little different.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have the same materials as everyone, so
Yeah.
improvised. All right. So I think you guys are familiar with the process now, right? And the templates are they're just a guide. So if you like collaging, the templates are helpful, and you may find that you just start to just cut out shapes. You don't even need templates anymore, but they're just helpful, especially if you have a design in your head that you just can't figure out how to cut it out yet. You can always start off with templates and then kind of make it your own, however you like. So I think we'll move on to the woman, unless someone else needs some more time or questions on the plants. So grab your next blank card and then your template pieces for the woman. And your papers for the woman are, everyone will have a couple of choices of skin tone. I try to include plenty of this in case you wanted to make something else later. So there's a couple of choices there. This is for this kind of stripy look is for her hat.
Can we see a sample of the woman?
Yeah, yep. There she is.
Uh-huh.
So this is the skin tone I'm speaking of. This is the hat, the stripy for the hat. Some people may have a darker pink like that's here, and then I'm working with kind of a lighter pink. Some people have that too. We're going to use the same yellow that we use for the sun on our plants for her earring. And then everyone has like a piece of pattern scrapbook paper for her dress. So that's what we're going to be using. So I'll explain these pieces in case they're not obvious. So this kind of piece is her head, kind of looks like a jelly bean maybe. That's the side profile of her head. This is her shoulder and neck. And I put these dotted lines on there just to help as we're gluing down, for you to get a kind of idea of how much you're going to be overlapping, like how much her dress will overlap, how much her head will overlap her neck. And I'll explain that again when we are gluing, but I just want to point that out. So those two pieces are for the skin tone. This piece, this bigger piece, is for the dress. You may have to kind of turn your piece cat corner, or to get it to fit however you'd like it to lay, but you might not be straight across where it will fit. And this piece is for her hat. So pick a section on there that you like to use. And like I mentioned, the earring, the tiniest piece, we're going to use the leftover yellow from the sun. That. So that's what we're doing there, okay? So we're going to start by tracing and then cutting out the pieces. So we'll do that. I'll play a little music. Jump in if you have any questions. I can still hear you guys.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Every day, once a day, give yourself a present. Don't plan it, don't wait for it, just let it happen. It could be a new shirt at the men's store, a cat nap in your office chair, or 2 cups of good, hot, black coffee. Like this. A present. Like Christmas. Oh, man, that hits the spot. Nothing like a great cup of black coffee.
All right, how you guys doing on your tracing and cutting? Do you need a few more minutes for the woman?
Yeah, a few more minutes.
Okay, no problem.
Margo,
Yes.
I noticed you're using a black marker too. I'm using a sharper, a Sharpie.
Yes.
I'm using the same thing, but mine is bleeding through the fabric, through
the paper.
So maybe you're not pressing down as hard as.
Yeah, I'm definitely not pressing down that hard.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's a very ultra fine tip. So
mine is too. So
okay.
Okay. Maybe I'm hard.
Yeah, I'm definitely not pressing that hard down. You know, as long as you are able to still like cut on the inside of your mark, it should be okay. Yeah, I didn't really have that issue.
I'm just I'm tracing on the back of the paper so that it didn't show up with the black marks like the first piece.
Okay, so yours might, just keep in mind if you trace on the back, I don't know if you were flipping the template or not, because it just might change the direction that she's looking. It's no big deal, but just keep that in mind. If you trace on the back, flip your template over too, because then she's just going to be looking the other direction. That's all.
Oh wow, okay. Well, okay.
Yeah, it didn't matter on the plant because everything's symmetrical, but for the woman, but as long as you're keeping it consistent, it doesn't matter.
We'll work it out.
All right, so I'm gonna just start talking about the layout of our woman. We've got about 15 more minutes left, so I want to make sure we have enough time. So as you continue to finish cutting out, if you haven't already, the layout for the woman, the first piece that we put down is her shoulder and neck. So we're going to layer it first just to make sure that we know where we're gluing things first. And then after that is her head. And so this is where I just wanted to point out on the template how I have those dotted lines. That just kind of gives you an idea of how far down her head should be. And if we're adding the dress as the next piece, that just gives you an idea of how far up you want the dress to be. And it doesn't have to be exact. It's just a guide so you know how much space to leave for her shoulder and neck. So those two pieces, so shoulder, neck, head, dress. The hat is next, and the hat, just kind of want to play around with it, and there's really no wrong way on how to put it. Just try to line it up to where it looks like it might normally sit on someone's head, side profile. What will help with this too, also, if you find like this piece in the back, maybe if you have some hanging off, the earring is going to cover that up. The earring is the last piece. So the earring kind of covers up a little bit of the hat if you find that it's a little bit wonky on the back side. And that'll help you kind of adjust what the front looks like too. So that is our woman. Any questions on that? So I'm going to start gluing. I'll put on a little bit of music. Like I said, we have about 15 minutes left, so I will come back on. I want to give everybody enough time to share their creations if you're comfortable with being on camera, and leave time for any questions or anything. So let's start gluing.
For my meal kit delivery, I chose the vegetarian.
YouTube commercials. Oh wow, Xavier's. That looks nice. What kind of paper did you use? Is it scrapbook paper?
It is scrapbook paper for her dress and turban.
Yeah.
And I just used a brown paper bag for her
Oh,
suit.
nice. Yeah.
Where we go from here? Where we go from here? With you. With you. Where we go from here?
All right, Marissa. You worked it out. You're on mute.
She is facing the other way.
Yeah, that's okay. So I think everybody's probably finishing up. If you want to share on camera, feel free to do so, and we can all take a look at your artwork. If there's any questions, let me know. I just wanted to acknowledge everyone for joining today and being an artist, and just trying something new if you hadn't tried collage before. So.